Ashley Monroe on the Country Blend Drive. 8:43, 17 before 9. Ken Gontark in the morning. See sunshine this morning, but we're going to see an increase in clouds as the day goes on. Maybe a chance of thunderstorms later on this afternoon. We'll shoot up to 75. Mostly cloudy overnight. Showers likely after midnight down to 51, and then the rain should taper off just before sunrise tomorrow, leaving us with sunny skies and a cool 72. 48 right now. Lampasas City Manager Finley DeGraff and Reed along with Ronnie Witcher in the studio this morning to give you a recap of Monday night City Council meeting / Town Hall meeting. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, class.
Glad to see Wednesday come and Lampasas City Manager Finley DeGraff and Reed in our studio, especially after not being able to do the show last week. I'm guilty. I wasn't here.
How come, Ronnie?
I overslept.
No,
okay.
So.
Okay, you want to?
I'm happy now.
You're satisfied. All right. Town hall meeting. This is always a great opportunity for legislators, if you will, and managers of our public business to get an opportunity to face citizens and learn what's on their mind.
Right.
And what did you go into that meeting looking for from the citizens?
Right. So the topic of the town hall was the recent winter storm event we had, where we had the rolling blackouts and extreme low temperatures. And the purpose of the meeting was to get some additional input from the residents. I think council felt it was important to evaluate our response and to take a look at what holes we might have and might need to fill. And as part of that process, we thought it was important to also reach out to just residents and get their perspective of what they had to deal with and what worked well for them and where there were some holes that needed to be filled.
And I guess the biggest questioning that you've had from citizens out of all of that is why were we out of electricity and the rolling thing, and my cousin across town was not.
Yeah, and we put that at the top of the list as in terms of an issue that we were aware of, and here are some opportunities for us to improve that. It will require us to work with our wholesale electric provider, LCRA, in terms of management of those specific feeds rather than the whole transformer at these substations. So I think there's an opportunity there, but it will take some work and as well as some cooperation amongst a lot of other communities our size.
Okay, so you're going to kind of rewire the city and to some degree so that won't happen again.
Right. The simple way to put it is you've got a big transformer at the substation, but that transformer may have 3 or 4 feeds, individual feeds coming off of it, feeding different parts of town. The control LCRA has is for that entire transformer. It's either all 4 feeds are off or all 4 feeds are on. And so we want to try to then take it to the next step and say, okay, let's go ahead and give them control of the individual relays on those feeds so that they can more precisely distribute those outages, and so the pain is a little more distributed.
Roll that blackout among more people.
Correct.
So
and the other item, it is not just Lampasas, but there are other communities, for example, that just have one substation. And because the hospital is fed by that one substation, they never went out. So if you can imagine, if we could have shared some of these outages not only locally within Lampasas a little more equitably, but also between the towns that didn't go off at all, it might have made that pain a lot less. And certainly we hope that we are positioned so that an event like this never happens again, but never say never.
So I guess it's fair to say that what happened is just something that never occurred to anybody because we've never had this kind of thing happen before.
Yeah, it was unprecedented. It was certainly, I don't want to say anticipated that it would be to this extent, but there were key messages being put out as early as February 11th about whether the need to conserve electricity, how to manage an extreme cold. So a lot of those messages were being put out well ahead of the storm and the rolling outages themselves. But it's between natural gas supply and frozen coal stocks and turbine icing and I think one of the things that I read recently is that we've got a lot of residents and a lot of businesses still wanting to come to Texas and moving to Texas every day. And unless we build some additional baseline generation, and I'm not talking about just intermittent type renewable, but some hard baseline generation, that we're going to struggle for a little bit, particularly during these winter events. The summers, our plants in general are built to operate when it's 110 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. They're not really built to operate that well when it's zero. So that's the challenge we have.
So it's fair to say, I think, that global warming or whatever is happening to our environment is bringing all kinds of different problems. I don't want to say disasters. They're not necessarily all disasters, but there are a lot of changes happening.
And I think the other change is the continued stress that growth has on our electric grid. Mm-hmm. We hear about new corporate and high-tech headquarters being relocated from California to Central Texas just about every day. So we're growing. The need for electricity is growing, even though we're more efficient. And there'll have to be some major changes.
After this last fiasco, you may see some of those cars turning around and going back to California.
I'm not sure. I did also hear that there are a little over 200 bills filed at the legislature now that are related to electricity and the management of the grid. So
you can imagine.
You always kind of cross your fingers, hold your breath when the legislature has that many bills about a particular subject. But certainly, I think
mothers, bring your children inside.
Yeah, but it is safe to say that it's going to be addressed and hopefully with no unintended consequences.
Okay. Well, beyond the ice storm, what else have we been trying to get citizen input on and trying to work on?
What we've really been focusing on probably for the last 30 to 60 days is the completion of our comprehensive plan, and we've talked about it on the radio before. But this is a plan we've spent about a year and a half putting together with a consultant and to really outline the vision for the community based on the public engagement and public input we've received along the way. So this plan will deal with everything from future land use to trying to identify those areas where growth is, to matching up our utility needs with where the growth is anticipated, the ongoing assessment and funding of parks and police and fire department, what the vision for not only zoning and subdivisions are, but also the latitude to do different things with your property providing it maintains a certain character. So I think it's a real helpful roadmap. What the message to council is this journey is not complete. This is frankly just a starting point, and here are the things that we've got to get working on within the next 5 to 10 years.
You're giving us a broad description of things that are in the comprehensive plan or what it's all about. Give us some specifics that are coming up.
So one of the things that was important to council was they wanted a plan that could be implemented that would have a score sheet or a report card type of focus. And so there are a number of things that are outlined in the last chapter that provide direction in terms of rewriting of zoning and subdivision regulations, making sure that when we design streets and roadways, we take what's known as a complete street look at it and make sure we assess, is there a need for sidewalks, what do our intersections look like, how we should control drainage, Other more specific items that it points to is making sure that we support and continue funding the WCID flood control dam. So that is I can't tell you how many different implementation steps there are in the back chapter, but I think it's well over 100, and I just threw out 3 or 4 of them.
Tell us some capital improvement changes or projects that we're going to see in the next year.
One of the things that the comprehensive plan also does is it supports and acknowledges the city's already capital improvement program that we implement every year for basically a 5-year view. And so what the plan addresses is the continued identification of those capital projects that are necessary based on growth, based on new housing, based on commercial development. But also it takes a look at how that capital improvement plan should be integrated in the parks program and in public safety programs, et cetera. So I think one of the impacts we've seen in our capital improvement program committee is that we're also taking a look now at impacts based on the winter storm that we just had, and trying to go back and identify, hey, do we need some additional technology on our utilities? Do we need more generation at some of our critical facilities? So all of the comprehensive plan, as well as the recent storm and our evaluation of that, will impact kind of the list of projects we have on our plan for this coming year.
Are there any projects coming up that people can see and feel, like parks? Any development there?
A couple of things that I think will be an inconvenience and a disruption, but we did go ahead and award the contract for West 3rd Street. That's a project that we've been trying to get off the ground here for the past month or two. We did get it engineered, and so West 3rd Street is going to be completely redone from the drainage up to the pavement. So that's something that will be going on. We also have a number of projects in the works related to Campbell Park and a pavilion out there and skate park, and we're doing kind of the preliminary work on that at this point. We have engaged a geotechnical firm to come in and take a look at what kind of foundation we need to design for both of those facilities. So that'll be something that folks will see and be able to follow very closely, very visual projects.
I understand that, what do you call it, garden project out there in that area is kicking off now.
Gordon?
What do you call it? Community garden.
Oh, the community garden, yes. In fact, they have really, and I have to give a lot of credit to Janet Crozier. She's really been a ringleader on that project and rallied a number of interested parties, and it's hard. Basically, it's hard for the city to keep up with everything that they're coming to us with, but we're trying to work very closely with them so that they have a successful project out there. But it's coming together very well.
I understand you can pay a little bit and go out and get yourself lease a piece of ground in the garden.
Right. There is a
grow some veggies.
Right. There's a subscription involved to help defray some of their costs, and I think if you have an interest, wander out there on the weekend. I'm sure you'll run into somebody that can tell you about it.
Rent yourself a piece of ground in the garden and grow some tomatoes.
You're right.
Hope you get some big ones. Well, anything that we need to tell the folks before we sign off?
We will be doing, starting, I believe, next week, some dead-end flushing. So if you see a hydrant on, it's not necessarily because it's broken or it's somebody's turned it on accident. We will be doing some dead-end flushing, which is something that we get calls about every year, but that's in order to keep the disinfectant and the residual in our water pretty fresh. So other than that, just getting ready for our next council meeting, which will be, I believe, April 12th.
All right. Lampasas City Manager Finley DeGraffin Reed on Wednesdays. You're listening to KCYL KACQ Radio. I'm Ronnie Witcher. Have a good day.
If you're looking for great advertising packages for your business,